Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We will call this meeting to order. It is 8:31. Do we have any excused absences?
Yep, Guillermo Cisneros and Kaylee Dillard will not be here.
Okay, thank you. Any conflicts of interest among the directors here? Seeing none, we'll move on to minutes approval. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes from our May 22nd, 2024 meeting? Oh, it's a tough one there.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That leads us to our first action item. We have a resolution to approve and recommend a Brownfield plan amendment and conditionally approve a local Brownfield revolving fund loan agreement for the Pleasant Hills project at 425 and 444 Pleasant Street Southwest and 535 Church Place Southwest. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Jess?
All right, good morning. So the Pleasant Hills project is being proposed by Habitat for Humanity of Kent County and will include the demolition of several existing structures on these three properties to make way for the development of 27 new for-sale residential units. 22 of the units will be sold to households earning at or below 80% of the area median income, and the remaining 5 will be sold to households earning at or below 120% of the area median income. Total project costs are estimated at $12.1 million with $11 million in construction costs. The request for reimbursement is for only housing development activities that total just over $2.6 million and include only the reimbursement to fill in a financing gap, which is we do through a potential development loss calculation. The amendment before you today is also requesting a $500,000 grant from the local Brownfield revolving fund, which will help support the financing gap when the project is completed. And then the remaining $2.1 million of eligible activities will be reimbursed using tax increment financing. The Brownfield plan will remain in place for 30 years, and the last 5 years will be reserved for local Brownfield revolving fund capture. The $2.6 million in development loss that Habitat is seeking reimbursement for equates to about $97,000 per unit of support from this authority and 20 years of affordability requirement that's in line with your interim guidelines that you approved back in October. And they will use deed restrictions to maintain the affordability during that 20-year period. They are also participating in the inclusion plan as part of the project and has set a goal of 15% or $1.65 million of the $11 million of construction costs for participation by women-owned, minority-owned, and micro-local subcontractors. And they've also done significant community engagement in this area over the last several years and has received a letter from Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association in support of this project. And I'll also just note, too, that this is part of a larger phased project. So what you're seeing before you today are phases 1 and 2. And we expect that in the future, we may see some future phases come before you as well. And with that, I'm going to ask Andrew Clordy from Habitat and Elizabeth Massering from SME to share some additional details with you.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you all for allowing us to come here today and present our project. Just a few points of clarification on what Jess shared. So phase 1, we're really considering the 444 aspect of this, so those 7 units. And so we're hoping to break ground on that this fall. Construction completed next summer and units occupied by the end of 2025. We're calling phase 2, excuse me, the 425 aspect, and so we're hoping to break ground on that piece next spring or summer, and that'll be completed in 2026. And then phase 3 is not shown here, but we're hoping to break ground on that piece later in 2026 for a multifamily component. As far as the sale of the homes and the affordability deed restriction, The way we look at sales prices is a little bit unique. So we set a range of prices for each home that is going to be affordable to families below 80% AMI, and then they go to the bank and get approved for a price that's affordable to them, not more than 30% of their income. And as long as it falls within that range, which is typically around 160 to 220,000 for us, so that's the price that they pay, and then the subsidy fills in the difference between the appraised value. And so most of these homes will be targeted, if not all, to below 80% AMI, but we are giving ourselves some flexibility to go up to 120% AMI on up to 20% of the units for this project. And I believe that's all I have. I'll open it up to questions.
Sorry. The existing building, is that your office? Is
Yes,
what I
so
read?
the building you see here that says existing is our office. We are in the process of trying to relocate to consolidate all of our operations. So we currently own that building and a warehouse across the street at the corner of Pleasant and New, and then 2 Restore retail locations, and we are trying to bring all of that together. So we would eventually sell that building, and it has been zoned for office use, preschool, or childcare.
Great, good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
Will Phase 3 occur on the site that you have currently under control, or is that another location?
So we do currently own the site. It is not shown on the site plan you see here. It is just to the west of the 444, so on the other side of New Avenue there. And that is our current construction warehouse. So that part is dependent on us finding a new location and relocating.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck. Okay, action item number 2. We have a resolution approving and recommending a Brownfield plan amendment and approving an emerging developer grant for the Emery project at 2040 Division Avenue. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Gus?
All right, so this next project is being proposed by the Diatribe, who's planning to rehabilitate the existing 18,000 square foot obsolete building into a mixed-use building that will include retail space, office and programming space for the Diatribe, an event venue, and 8 apartments on the second floor. The apartments are anticipated to be a mixture of studios, 1-bedrooms, and 2-bedrooms, and are currently planned to be rented to households earning at or below 60% of the area median income. Project costs are estimated at $7 million with construction costs of $5 million. The reimbursement request for this project is about $186,000 of brownfield eligible activities that include lead and asbestos abatement, demolition, and public infrastructure improvements. And just kind of a reminder about some of the changes to the law. So because of those changes last year, approval by the state for school capture for certain eligible activities that include demolition and lead and asbestos abatement is no longer required if these activities total less than $250,000. So since the majority of these activities fall under this change in the law, the Diatribe does not have to prepare a work plan, and then they don't have to go for approval at the state. So this will be the only time you see this project until it comes back when it's completed for approval of invoices. The Brownfield plan will remain in place or is expected to remain in place for 22 years. And the Diatribe will be fully reimbursed after 17, and the last 5 will be reserved for local Brownfield revolving fund capture. They are also seeking an emerging developer grant from the LBRF for a total of $104,500 to help fund some of the pre-development costs that they have associated with the project. That includes civil engineering, survey, architectural work, as well as lead consulting. This is the first project the Diatribe has taken on, and this is, I think, the first time they've owned the property, which is great. And they are working with Peter Scornia at Sella Building Company to support their work in this first project. They do own the building, and they will maintain ownership of the building in the future as well. They are also participating in our inclusion plan and have some great goals associated with the project. 35% or 1.75 million of the 5 million in construction costs for the MLBE, MBE, and WBE participation. They've also completed significant community engagement on this project over the years, not only in the surrounding neighborhood, but with the folks that they serve, with the work that they do. They have received special land use approval as well for outdoor seating, alcohol, and live entertainment associated with the event venue, and then a parking waiver as well. And then they are also getting support through our office through a $500,000 MEDC Revitalization and Placemaking Program grant. So we've supported that. And then we are also looking at a 12-year obsolete property rehabilitation exemption on this property as well. And that approval consideration will run alongside the Brownfield at the City Commission level. And at this point, I'm going to ask Megan Smith Jovanovic to come up and share some more about the diatribe and the project.
Hello, thank you so much for having us today. I am Megan Smith Jovanovic. I serve as Development Director for the Diatribe, wrapping up my interim Executive Director role as we search for a new Executive Director this summer. The Diatribe is a small arts and culture nonprofit serving West Michigan. We were founded by Black, Brown, and queer artists who presented the first Deaf and Blind Inclusive Art Prize exhibit back in 2013. We were invited into classrooms, formalized our nonprofit in 2016, and formalized our curriculum, focused on using poetry and spoken word to help students use their voice to express themselves. We use that through our Poetry Empowered program, using poetry and spoken word in mental health exploration and identity. We often work in middle schools and high schools where that kind of finding yourself is definitely part of the experience. But now, in COVID years, we pivoted into community work. We started our 49507 project, working with our students and neighbors to install 17 murals in the southeast side of Grand Rapids. We also pivoted our curriculum online because all of a sudden we couldn't work in schools and we couldn't host our events. But that really allowed us to work deeper in our community and in new ways, and we listened closely to what we heard. So each of those 3 years of the 49507 project, we met with 150 neighbors and about 90 students and asked them about what they want to see in their community, what makes them feel like they belong, what helps them feel like this space reflects me and my culture and my family and my community. And from that, those 17 murals came to be, but we also heard a lot about, we don't have a coffee shop in our neighborhood. I don't have a place that I can go after school. We're really missing those third places for opportunities to connect. And so from those conversations came the very interesting mixed-use development of this building that you see before you. Interestingly, this does align with the city's master plan, identifying this building for an ideal mixed-use development in the future. On the first floor on the right side will be the Diatribe offices. It'll be a community space during the day, helping people understand how to get a traffic calming bump on their street, or how to connect with their lawmakers to advocate for something that's important to them, and also creating those opportunities for community engagement, connection, and placemaking. We'll have 4 retail spaces on the first floor. We're looking to identify businesses that are creative entrepreneurs looking for that incubator space to grow their business and step out from. Ideally, these are folks that would want to do internships with our students who are in our after-school program. They want to activate our community and provide those services to the creative entrepreneurship hub that we really want this building to be. On the second floor will be 8 live-work apartment units, 2 studios, 4 one-bedrooms and 2 two-bedrooms. One of those studios will be reserved for an artist residency type program that the organization will run. The other 7 will be affordably priced, aiming at 60% AMI. The basement, which is about half the width of the building, will be a new venue. About 140 seated, 300 standing room capacity, and that will allow not just performances from our students and from our local creatives, but also opportunities for rentals by neighbors for a quinceañera or a baby shower, as well as corporate events to help make sure that our blended revenue comes and helps support the work that we're doing throughout the building. So with all that, we really are excited to see this as an investment in our community, in really creating an anchor institution. We're really grateful that we're able to collaborate and work to improve our streetscapes as well with our local CIA and the city as we're going through some pretty substantial improvements to this area. So Jess also mentioned we have been working with Wolverine Construction to host a couple of open houses specifically focused on encouraging our neighbors who maybe have never bid on a project before to be able to learn that process and throw their hat in the ring so that even if they're not selected for this project, they can apply to ones in the future. And I think that kind of intentional investment in our community and our businesses is one of the best parts of this project. So with that, if we have any questions, I am happy to answer those. I will note bids are due today if anybody wants to be part of the project. So thanks very much for your time this morning.
Yeah, so you mentioned this neighborhood that you keep on bringing up. How broad is this neighborhood that you're speaking of? You also, I'm just kind of curious because you were mentioning how you had surveys that were done and you got people's opinions and so on and so forth. So I want to know, how broad this neighborhood
I would
is.
love to talk more about that. So Diatribe right now is co-located at Garfield Park Neighborhood Association. We have about 600 square feet on their second floor. That's our offices. And we serve a really intense focus on that 49507 Garfield Park, Southeast Grand Rapids area. But we also have programming in Muskegon. And we also serve kids as far north as Sparta and Cedar Springs. Because poetry is universal and these programs are powerful for kids to be able to use their voice anywhere. But this particular facility we see as serving all of West Michigan. We have a number of facilities that are around this size, particularly for that basement venue, but not a lot. It's smaller than the pyramid scheme, so there, I think, are a lot of opportunities for small and emerging artists, or even the Girl Scout doing their Gold Award performance of their theater, play that they put on, to be able to use this space really creatively and draw a wider area. I also think that there's opportunities for conversations with this whole South Division corridor with the city. I just want to elevate that. As we build the amphitheater and the stadium downtown, we need to expand what downtown looks like, and we need to start bringing our neighborhoods into that conversation. We're right on the silver line. This is a great opportunity, and we need to make sure that we're being intentional about how we bring our neighborhood along with that and not displace through the investment that's happening. Thank you.
Hi, Megan. Just a quick comment and then a question. I think it was this presentation I read that the 2017 census data said that 43% of the population in this region don't have a high school diploma. Mm-hmm. And I was just really struck and shocked by that. And so my question is, can you maybe just expand and tell us a little bit more about your after-school programs?
For sure. So Diatribe is taking a unique approach to after-school programming. Oftentimes you see an open doors model. We want to work specifically with 20 students a year, investing in them and recognizing that when they walk through our doors, it's not just them, it's their whole family. So we're working on starting to build partnerships and relationships like with Exalta Health next door to help make sure that we can connect folks to mental health services, to social service supports, recognizing that those kids are going to come with big dreams and a lot that they need to accomplish to be able to get that high school diploma, but they also bring their whole family. So really trying to create an after-school program that addresses the needs of our students. Most of them are going to be, interested in the creative arts in some way. So we need to help them understand how to become a creative entrepreneur, but also get your homework done and be able to have that career exploration that excites them and wants them to continue to invest in that, their career pathways. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell me what this building is currently? I'm visioning that corner, and it's the old theater?
So as you're traveling south on Division, you'll pass Burton. Yeah. On the right side is now Howlada's Sports. Yeah. They used to be across the street in this building. On the first floor and second floor there. It's been boarded up for maybe, on the left side, for maybe the last 5 years.
Okay.
And then on the right side, they've been open glass windows, and a church has been there up until last August. But currently it's vacant. And then our next door neighbor is Ebenezer's Bakery, which has some of the best pupusas in town. and features one of our murals on the side of their building as well. I will note those murals are a great opportunity to get to know some of our community and our neighborhoods. Each of them have a QR code next to them that gives you an experience of what the 30s and 40s lending maps in the area look like. So especially as a planning commission, which is part of the relic of this institutionalized disinvestment in our neighborhoods, it's really a great chance to stand there and look around and ask questions about how we've been investing in our community for over 100 years. So great opportunity, pick 3 murals in different spots and have a little bike ride around with some of your friends this summer. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Hey, Lene.
Hi, Megan. Thank you. This is an exciting project, and I had participated in the South Division Area Specific Plan, and this corridor, in addition to the node here at Burton Heights, was identified as one of those key locations for redevelopment and not necessarily infill, but finding ways to creatively add more housing opportunities. And certainly this project is going to be that one of those catalysts in this area. So it's so exciting. And I'm glad you mentioned the Silver Line, which has a station right a few doors down. There was a great story that someone shared that Sweetlands Candies used to be, I think, maybe next door to this building. And there is a former theater, not the 5-star or 4-star, but further, I think 2 doors down from you was the theater. And Sweetlands used to turn on the warmer for their nuts about 15, 20 minutes before the show let out. And so that smell would waft through the air and people would be enticed to come in and buy their products. So I heard that at one of our community engagement meetings. So it's certainly a great area with so much history. And I'm new to this board. So Jess, I had just a quick question. You mentioned the CIA. Will there be capture at all from this back to that authority or no?
Yeah, so the CIA can't capture Oprah. So during that period of time, they won't have any capture on this building. There's not much there now currently. So once that Oprah expires, then all of that will be available to the CIA, which is one of the reasons why we're not looking at housing development activities here, because there won't be enough capture to justify that over the term of the reimbursement.
And that Oprah is how long?
12 years.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
I appreciate that question, Director Wells. I had the same question, but also, Megan, I think you mentioned the CIA was actually going to participate in some of the public improvements, so.
Yeah, so
can you
we've reached out to them, and we have worked with them on the 49507 project for a number of our murals, each of the 3 years of the project. So we'll probably be working with them both on the streetscape improvements as well as the mural on the front of the building. And we'll be working with the city artists approval process for that, of course.
Is there, I guess I haven't been down here in a while. Is there currently on-street parking, or is that part of the?
There is currently on-street parking. None of them are accessible, and there's no curb cut for like most of a block.
Okay.
So that's part of what, we have to get the water's the other side of the road, so we have to rip up all of Division, which is going to be a lot of fun. But that also gives us a chance to ask some questions about how we want to put things back. So that's what we want to be intentional about as we're, about to get our water lines from across the road. We're going to have an opportunity to maybe put in that curb cut.
Right. Thank you. Any other comments or discussion? Jess, did you have anything else, or?
Nope.
Good. Okay. We have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, item 3. We have a resolution approving an Act 381 work plan and development and reimbursement agreement for the Seymour Condominiums redevelopment project located at 2550 Eastern Avenue Southeast. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, Jess.
All right, so I think you're all familiar with this project, but you last saw this at your March meeting, and it has since gone through the City Commission approval process. So just kind of a quick overview of and reminder of the details. The project is being taken on by ICCF, and it will result in 27 for-sale units that will be in a condominium development. 14 of those units are anticipated to be sold to households earning 80% of the area median income, and the remaining 13 to those earning 120% AMI. The investment in the project is estimated at $13.6 million, with $9.9 million of construction costs. And the total eligible activities that they're looking for reimbursement for is just over $3 million, and will include environmental assessment, lead and asbestos abatement, and then housing development activities. Similar to the Habitat project you just heard about, we're looking at potential development loss for this project as well. That's their housing development activity. The request also does include a $600,000 LBRF loan that will be paid out at the end of the project as well. And then this is the sort of final consideration from the local approval side, and then we'll go to MISHDA after this. So I'm happy to take any questions about that project.
Okay, seeing no questions or comments here, we have a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Jess. Okay, item 4, assignment and assumption of the development and reimbursement agreement for Fulton and Seward LLC redevelopment project. Do I have a motion to approve?
Support.
Christian?
Good morning, board members. In 2015, Fulton and Seward LLC entered into a development and reimbursement agreement with this authority for construction of what is now known as Fulton Place at 616-632 Fulton Street West and 29 Lexington Avenue Southwest. Fulton Place resulted in $28 million of investment, 112 residential units, and 14,000 square feet of commercial space. The developer, who's affiliated with Rockford Development, Rockford Construction, has decided to sell the building to a number of entities listed in the assignment, but those entities are all affiliated with Winnemac Properties out of Chicago. Winnemac manages and owns approximately 1,900 units in Chicago in 200 buildings, and this is their first investment in Grand Rapids. So this request is, we only see these about once a year or so, but this request is to transfer the rights and responsibilities of the development and reimbursement to the new owner, the forthcoming owner of Fulton Place. And specifically, that would just entails, in terms of the development and reimbursement agreement, the tax increment revenue reimbursements for the project for the remaining years. Initially, there were $5.5 million approximately of brownfield eligible activities, and about $4.3 million remain in eligible reimbursement to the new owner. As part of the sale, sometimes we see that the development and reimbursement agreement for a brownfield project is transferred or is not transferred. That's part of the sale negotiations, but this would allow the new owner the right to receive tax increment revenues for the remaining portion of the eligible activities as part of the sale negotiations. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Christian, I just had one question. I noticed on the assignment document, there was a single manager executing it on behalf of the rest of those entities. So as far as your interaction and level of effort with this, is it between you and the single manager in terms of documentation and collection of all that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Any other discussion? Okay. We have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our last action item is the activity report for the Grand Rapids Brownfield Redevelopment Authority's Environmental Site Assessment Grant Program for June 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support. Thank you. Jess?
All right, so this is your last ESA grant report for this fiscal year, which ends at the end of this month. So we've added one new project since your last meeting, and that is for Zeal Aerial Fitness, which is currently renting space on Godfrey. They've purchased a building at 131 Caledonia Street Northeast. And the request for the ESA grant is for just a phase one. So the total request for that is $1,800. And then the second one is one that you saw at your last meeting, which is 1575 Jefferson. And that one is for a daycare center that is purchasing a property, and the costs that we originally anticipated are just a little bit higher than what we expected originally by, I think, $1,800. So just a little bit of an increase, and we had money left over this year. So the remaining budget for this fiscal year is $137,501, and that money will go back into the general LBRF fund for other projects. And then we will get a new allocation on July 1 for the next year.
Can you just explain why Coldbrook seems to be a little bit behind in the process? They're at 50%.
Oh, so that's,
Their cost.
yeah, so that's based on so in the LBRF policy that we have around the ESA grants, it's based on the percentage of funding that we provide is based on a number of factors. So if it's a new business that's purchasing a building, I think it's the 75%, like the 131 Caledonia. This one is located, not in a neighborhood of focus. It's not a new business, so it's the 50% funding.
Sorry, I
Yep.
read it differently.
Nope.
Thanks.
Good.
Jess, in terms of, excuse me, so I guess we're ending up with, roughly half of what was allocated to carry over into fiscal year '25. So, in terms of awareness of this program, I believe there's information posted on the city departmental website, but maybe just for another time, committee work or something to just consider how we can sort of increase awareness and use of this. It just seems like a pretty significant amount to, just leave on the table, so to speak. I'm sure there's a lot of groups out there that could benefit from that.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
okay, any other discussion? All right. We have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Jess. Okay, other business. Jess reminded me this morning, in case anyone else is wondering, we are reviewing and approving financial statements every other month now. So we'll see Tricia next month. And then we will have our next Economic Development Corporation meeting next month, as I understand it as well. So,
Correct.
any other business? Okay, any public comment? All right, seeing none, I will move to adjourn.